Hi, my name is Sophia White,
My name is Glaze, and this is my story.
and this is my story. I grew up in California with a family of four: my mom, my sister, my dad, and my little dog. I lived there my whole life. And as a child, I was really close to my family. And we didn't have any other family in California, it was just us four. So we were kind of on the other side of the coast. I went to elementary school in California and middle school as well, and high school. And I grew up in the same kind of community, so I knew everyone there. It was pretty small, but it was such a tight community. Growing up, the standards were super high, and it was just very much cared about your image, and so didn't families as well. And so I grew up with just having that kind of weight on my back of looking a certain way and acting a certain way, and to do all of these outside activities and be academically smart. Middle school was a really weird time for me when I was just trying to figure out myself and other people, and I think that's when I really realized I love validation from other people. And I wasn't really strong in my faith. I grew up actually in the Catholic Church, so it's completely different than where I am now. But yeah, I wasn't really prominent in my church. I didn't really go to church every Sunday. I would go to like the big things like Christmas Eve, Easter, Palm Sunday, things like that. But I wasn't really had a strong relationship with the Lord. I knew who He was and I knew He was there. So I just grew up not really knowing that He was there, but not really having a relationship with Him. I struggle with ADHD and dyslexia, so I just always grew up struggling with academics, and that wasn't really my strong point. So knowing that I had outside activities that I had to also be good at was the one thing that was really keeping me through. And I did volleyball and theater arts at my school, and getting that validation, the one thing I craved most is just knowing that I was really good at something, and seeing other people realize that I was good at something is the one thing that I think really took over me. And then sophomore year, my world turned upside down. It was December 21st, 2020, and my family got split apart that night. I woke up one night randomly at like 12:25 a.m. and I hear my dog barking. And it was so random because no one knocks at your door at like 12:25 at night. And so I woke up frantically and I was like, what's going on? What's going on? I open my door and I just see paramedics rushing to my parents' room. And I was just shocked and kind of in awe because I was like, what's going on? And my sister was upstairs, and so I ran up to her and I said, come downstairs. I think there's policemen and I think there's firemen at the house doing something in my parents' room. And next moment I see my mom walk out on a stretcher and go into the ambulance and rush out, and my dad saying that, just stay here, I'll let you know if you need to come. And I remember in that moment, all of my hope and all of what I thought my religion was gone, and my relationship with the Lord was just gone. I remember sitting outside by myself at this just cold night in December and just being like, what's going on, God? Like, please, if you are there, please do something about this and make sure that she is okay. Not even 15 minutes after that prayer that I prayed out loud, I get a call from my dad saying that we need to rush to the hospital. So me and my sister drive to the hospital, and we got put in a separate room. And I just remember thinking, why are we in this room? Why this? Like, why can't you just talk to us in the lobby? I remember the doctor coming in and saying, I'm sorry, she didn't make it. So I was this 15-year-old girl who hasn't even experienced how to drive a car, or haven't even graduated yet, or knew where I was going to college, that I lost the woman figure in my life, the rock that I looked up to. And that was one of the most devastating things that I think that has ever happened to me. And just in that moment, my heart sunk and it broke. And I felt so alone in that moment. And those weeks coming ahead, I didn't know that was going to be also the hardest trial that God has ever given me. Having random people come to your house and just saying, I'm so sorry, and being like so drained all the time and just being so beside yourself and not knowing what to do. And I had to pick up the pieces. And so my older sister, it was just me and her and my dad at home and my dog at that point. And she went to Liberty University, which is in Virginia. And I was still back home in California with my dad and my dog. And I just remember having to put my feelings aside to just be that person for my dad that he just lost. And so I was kind of going through this grief thing alone. And I would just every night cry myself to sleep because I didn't have anyone to go to. And at that point, my faith was gone. And my relationship with the Lord deceased. I just remember walking into school every day, just not talking to anyone. I had like 3 friends, and I just remember going to them and acting like I was fine, and I wasn't. Even though I was suffering every day, I wanted to make sure that everyone saw me as like this happy girl that didn't go through anything horrible, that was a regular teenage girl, even though I had to grow up so much quicker than everyone else did. So that's when I became a lot more social, and I would go to more functions, and I would go to more hangouts, and I would really just make a complete fool of myself because I wanted people to like me, to get that validation through that way. And I felt so alone that I clinged on to people wanting to hang out with me and people wanting to invite me to places, and the validation of never being alone. And I was never home. I would always just stick with my outside activities and not even my academics, because that was so hard to keep focused in class and having your mind not beyond the future and not beyond what I just lost, but in the present was so hard. And so that feeling of being alone was, I think, the most challenging part of it all. Knowing that I couldn't see her again, or I couldn't say goodbye to her, or that I didn't have a mom, but looking at full families and being happy. And I would remember going to dinners outside, or just witnessing people being so on their phones at dinner, not talking to their parents, and me wanting that, and me being so angry at the fact that I couldn't do that, or I couldn't have my full family there, because I will never have that for the rest of my life. I completely lost myself. I would gotten to the point where I would go to places that I knew were horrible for me to be at, or do things that I knew were wrong in a biblical sense, but I didn't care. And I lost all sense of faith until college admissions started to come around, and to pick your future, I was completely lost. I didn't know where I wanted to go, didn't have really anyone to lean on except my sister, who came to Liberty University, and she just seemed so happy, and she really liked it. And I mean, at that point, I didn't really care about academics, or I didn't care where I went, so it was more just, if I landed here, I landed here, and it was just the easiest way to get to college, and it was the farthest away. I just felt like I was running away from my problems. I got accepted here. I mean, God just made it so evident for me to come here, and without me even realizing it. So when I came here, that's when my life turned completely around. And I remember sitting on my floor, I think it was the second week into this school, but I remember one day, it was a camp comm that really changed my life, and I remember just weeping on the floor in my room and just being like, Lord, I can't do this alone. I've been alone these past years, and it has broken me down to a point where I can't get back up, and I can't do it alone. I sat there and I was like, God, you need to take it, because I don't know what would happen to me if I continued to be alone in this. And I remember just asking God to save me and to take all of my burden and pain away. And I remember after that feeling so light, just changed. And that's when I dove headfirst into my faith and got really strong in it. And my life has been so much better. I've been so much more happier. The joy of the Lord is just so much stronger. And the biggest thing that I think I took away from this whole journey is God is the King of all. and whatever his plan is for a reason. Because if I never lost my mom or have gone through that terrible time in my life, I wouldn't have gotten to know Jesus or to be even saved. Grief is one of the worst things I think anyone could go through. But to know that God is with you every step of the way is so warming and just so gracious to know that he has me. That no matter what step I take, he's there along the journey. And I will always miss my mom, and I will always have those days where I'm sad about it, but to not blame it on him and to not feel like I have to take it on my own is just so relieving and so amazing. And God saves all.
So it all began on December 26th, day after Christmas in 2001. I was born in a small town in Virginia called Fairfax, but I lived in this small town of South Riding. I'm actually a triplet, fun fact about me. I have an identical triplet sister named Allie and a fraternal triplet sister named Hannah. Growing up, parents raised us in a Christian home, dressed us up in the tacky matching outfits, and sent us to preschool every single Sunday. I made the decision to get baptized around age 7, maybe 8. But the thing is, I made the decision because I felt like I had to. I didn't get baptized because I wanted to. It's because I felt kind of pressured. Like, my parents told me, you should get baptized at some point. I'm like, okay, let's do it now. And I was young and naive and didn't really know the true meaning of what baptism is. So I also just did it because my sister did it. As I got older, up until probably middle school was really hard. I was bullied a lot because I was bigger in size, I had braces, I had square black glasses, I didn't really know how to do my hair, people picked on me, called me names, one even played a joke on me in front of all the popular kids, and I just felt very insecure during that time. And also leading up to about age 14, 15, I was very lukewarm in my faith. I just went to church, went to youth group because it felt like a chore to me. I didn't go because I wanted to go. I went because either my sisters were going, my friends were going, we were playing a game that night and I wanted to have fun. So I only really went for the social aspect. It was then the summer of 2017, I was maybe 15 or 16 years old. And it may sound cliche, but this took place at a church camp. And I wanted to get my faith in line. I had dealt with so much in middle school and early high school to where I just wanted to be in a more firm place in my faith. So one night at camp, I stayed behind after everyone had left where we held our church service. And I was just on my face before God. I was like, God, this hurts so much. I can't do this on my own. I just really need you right now. And I was alone. There was nobody around me. And I remember feeling a hand on my back. A voice said, I love you, child. I never left. Let me carry you. And I obeyed. And it slowly got better from then. But then the next year of 2018, everything went downhill. The whole year of 2018 just was not a good year. Not just for me or my family, but mostly my mom. My mom struggles with anxiety and depression. She's been clinically diagnosed. It was really bad this year. We would have to cancel family outings or going to visit family or had to leave public places because my mom would have a panic attack. Felt weird just seeing my mom hyperventilating and panicking and crying. She just felt like hurting up in her mental health. In her words at that time, she said she felt like she had no purpose. And it just hurt hearing my own mom say that, because my mom was and still is my best friend. But just seeing her like that broke my heart. And I felt like I couldn't do anything, because whenever I try to offer help, it would just fall on deaf ears. August or September of 2018, the worst of the worst happened. It was just a regular Sunday. Me and my family were getting ready for church. My sister and I were in the bathroom getting ready. And then I hear this very loud crash from out in the hallway. We run out there and my mom is lying on the ground. And there was a bookcase that what made the crash noise, and it was broken. And then I was in shock. Like, my body was in, like, freeze. Like, there's fight, flight. My body turned to freeze. And I didn't know what to say or do. I was just staring at my mom going in and out of consciousness on the floor. And then I blinked, and police officers and paramedics were running up the stairs. I tried to run to my dad, but a policeman pulled my dad away and started talking to him. And then another cop pulled me and my sister into another room and questioned us, like, had she been showing signs of wanting to commit suicide? Had she, like, how has her depression been? And just questions like that. I went back out in the hallway, and my mom was still lying on the ground. The paramedics were, like, injecting her with, like, adrenaline and something to stop the drugs, because I learned she had swallowed a bottle of pills. I remember holding her head in my lap, and I looked down at her and said, "Mom, why did you do this?" It took about 3 tries to get an answer out of her. She just stared up at me blankly and just said, "I wanted to die." I realized in that moment that was not my mom I was looking at. That was the enemy. That was not my mom. And then she was whisked away in an ambulance with my dad in tow. And that's what started an in and out of my mom being home. She would come home, then leave again, then come back and be gone for long periods of time. And there were times where my dad wasn't home a lot either. So luckily my grandparents who lived close by would come and stay with us. But a lot of it was just me and my sisters having to take care of ourselves, like take ourselves to school, go to our extracurricular activities, and just look after each other. There was one day we were driving home from school. This was about junior year. We pulled onto our street, and there was an ambulance pulling out of it. And I just knew something had happened. And I remember climbing up into the ambulance and just seeing my mom sitting on a stretcher with a bandage on her neck. I learned from my dad that she had taken a knife and tried to slit her own throat. She couldn't speak, so she just kind of stared at me blankly with no expression on her face. And I remember what came over me was pure, like, rage. I was angry. I was screaming at her. I was yelling. I was cursing at her. I've never been that angry in my life. I was angry at her. I was angry at the situation. I was angry at God. I was angry at a lot of things. Luckily, my mom's parents were there, so they looked after me and my sisters. And we had to be there for each other. And it was a very trying time. I remember the longest my mom was out of the house at a mental facility was probably a month. We would go and visit her. She would have times of the day to call us, and we would just talk for hours. There would be good days and then really bad days. She was in and out of hospitals, all around even the state of North Carolina. I felt very alone in that time. But also God revealed to me who was really there for me in my life when I needed them most. There are people he removed from my life because they felt, oh, she's going through something hard, I don't need this, so they left. There is a kind of grief where you're grieving a loved one who hasn't, like, physically passed away. Like, they're still on earth living and breathing, but it's just they don't feel like the same person that you knew. Now, my mom is alive, she is happy, she is thriving, she's so much healthier, and I'm so proud of her, and she is so brave. She said, God, you're not taking me just yet. There were times after that where I felt, what if she had succeeded in taking her own life? She would have missed a lot of milestones in mine and my sister's life. Our high school graduation, us going to college, university, graduating college, getting married. But now she will get to see it, and I'm so thankful. Now where I'm at is I've grown so much. Grief is something I would never wish upon anyone. Sometimes you have to go through the hard things to really lean into God and know that he is there, and he never left. And I know that he never left me. Even when I felt like there were times where I felt hopeless. Like my mom was never gonna get better. But he said, I'm not done with her. And I said, okay. And she's fully healed. And she's doing well, and I'm so thankful. Now, here I am, about to finish college, and I don't know what the future looks like. But I know God has had me in his hand ever since day one. And not just the time I went through with my mom, but now. So face the struggles of finding a job and leaving friends behind and moving on to the next chapter of my life. He has me in his hand. My name is engraved on his hand. He's holding my future in his hands. And he has never left my side. And a verse that I recite all the time is Psalm 34:4. It's, I sought the Lord, and he heard, and he answered, and delivered me from all my fears. And later on, down in Psalm 34, it says, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and with those who are crushed in spirit. So just know that whatever your story is, whether big or small, you don't need an earth-shattering event to happen in your life in order to have a testimony. Anything that God does in your life is worth sharing. This is my story. My only purpose on the earth is to bring glory to his name, and that's something I will never stop doing. I still struggle every day, and I'm not perfect in any way. With Christ, I am born again, and I am made whole, and he loves me so much, and I'm forever thankful for what he's done in my life, what he will continue to do, and I don't want to be known for anything else. I only want to be known by someone who loves others. It says in the word, let us be known by our love. And he has shaped me into someone who really wants to be known by her love and how she loves others. And I'm very thankful for the person he shaped me into.
I want to express my profound gratitude for the immeasurable joy, boundless love, and enduring peace we can find in Jesus. His presence in our lives has transformed our perspectives, filling every moment with purpose and hope. Through the highs and lows, his unwavering grace has been an anchor, guiding us through life's storms with unwavering assurance. I am thankful for the countless blessings he has bestowed upon me, from the simple joys of everyday life to the deep spiritual moments between him and I. In him we have acquired a source of strength and comfort beyond measure, and I am forever grateful for the unending goodness he pours into my heart. May his light continue to shine brightly in our lives, illuminating our paths with his love for all eternity. We're just two imperfect human beings who both went through something unimaginable, but we walked out the other side having received a love and a joy that is so refreshing and reassuring, especially in knowing that God will never leave us alone in our pain. Even if it feels like he is silent, he is working, and he has given us new life, and we will forever be grateful. Just know that you are loved, chosen, and God wants you. He's waiting right there with open arms.